Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am one of your hosts, Andy Burrows, and this is another Interview Wednesday. As you can see, I'm joined by my illustrious co-host today, Mr. Dave Robinson. Dave, how are you, mate?
Hey, mate. Really good, thanks. You okay?
All good, brother. All good. Like we say, this is another Interview Wednesday, and our guest today is an amazing guest, someone that took the wrestling world and the WWE by storm. Our guest today is none other than Mr. James Ellsworth. James, good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. Hopefully, it'll still be afternoon when we finish this.
Technical difficulties, James. They happen, my friend. They happen. You know, you're over there.
Oh, my fault too.
Yeah, no, you're good, brother. You're good. James, we always start these shows, whoever we interview, current wrestlers, past wrestlers, general fans of the product. What do you make of the product, the wrestling product in 2023?
I think it absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, sucks. I wish we'd go back to the 80s where everybody had a character. Everybody was big and large and light. I can't stand wrestling. I don't want to watch it. Hell, I didn't even like myself when I was on there. Now, I'm glad there's a lot of variety and people get to, they can pick and choose, what style they want to watch because it's everywhere on television, whether it's lucha or whether it's hard hitting or whether it's like the style I like, old school Memphis wrestling. There's chances are there's your style somewhere on television these days because there's a lot of variety, and I think it's doing real well right now, the whole landscape of pro wrestling.
Yeah, as wrestling fans, we really are sport. Talking of sport, I know Dave has a question about a certain Mr. AJ Styles in you, James. So let's get into it.
Yes, James. So you talk about different styles, and AJ Styles, I've been a huge fan of him, as so many wrestling fans are, past, present. For you yourself, as an independent wrestler at the time, you go into the WWE and you say an opportunity presents itself, and you're working with AJ Styles and you're picking up victories over AJ Styles. How was that for you as a fan of AJ, as a performer? And are you still in touch with AJ a few years on?
Yeah, so AJ Styles, nobody's ever asked me an AJ Styles question before. So
no, but you never hear this, James. It's weird how we should start the show like that.
We got to take
Like I always tell everybody, AJ's just as phenomenal outside the ring as he is inside the ring. What I mean by that is he was great to work with, just helped me a lot. I was real nervous when I first got there because I thought I was wrestling The Miz the first time I wrestled AJ because that was the plan. Got to the building, they told me it was AJ. I was wrestling instead. I was real nervous. But, those nerves went away quickly once I realized how good of a human being he is. We still keep in touch to this day. Yeah, text here and there. I just saw him back in April. It was under unfortunate circumstances. It was Jay Briscoe's funeral. I ran into AJ there, talked to him a bit. Great guy, man. I think if you look at the landscape of wrestling over the last 20 years, AJ Styles has to be on your Mount Rushmore somewhere, right? For most people.
Man.
Yeah, 100%. James, when you started that storyline with AJ and stuff, and obviously Dean Ambrose was involved, did it surprise you how big it got? Because like you say, at the start, you thought you were just going in and wrestling The Miz, and then they pitch it to you that you're going to go into this storyline with AJ. And for me, that storyline blew up. Did it surprise you how much it blew up? And did it surprise you how much the audience took to you straight away? There were Ellsworth chants, even when you weren't wrestling, on matches on SmackDown, on Raw. I've attended some house shows over here. There were Ellsworth chants going.
There's a T-shirt as well.
There's a T-shirt. I mean, did the whole storyline and the build-up and the fan reaction and everything, did it even surprise you at the time?
Well, absolutely. Like, for me, I'm 5'8", 165 pounds. I don't look like I belong on GQ magazine. So, I've watched wrestling my whole life. I've always loved it. But that's why I got into it at a very young age. I was 17 when I started. Never in my wildest dreams did I think, man, you're going to be wrestling the WWE champion on TV. People are going to be chanting your name, and you're going to be beating the WWE champion. No one can ever expect that. the storyline as we were doing it, it felt great and it felt good. So I felt like the storytelling from everyone involved was so good that every week, after a couple of weeks, I did expect those reactions, because I thought the storyline was phenomenally written. Moxley, who was Dean Ambrose back then, and AJ Styles are two of the best wrestlers in the world and really good at what they do. And I feel like I was at WWE for some reason. So it was amazing, man. Like, no, I didn't ever in my wildest dreams think anything like that would happen, but it was fun to be a part of. And yeah, after a couple of weeks, you do start to expect it. Like, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna kill it. These people are gonna still make noise. Like,
Yeah, James, I've got to ask. At the time, was it Vince McMahon that you dealt with directly, or was it members of the writing team, or was it the senior wrestlers such as AJ and Mox that were kind of directing the storyline and telling you what was coming up, or who did you kind of deal with?
well, it was a mixture of everybody you just said. You have producers, writers, Vince. Especially, I'm in the ring with the WWE champion. Vince was very hands on
Yeah,
because of that aspect of it. This is his guy. AJ Styles, WWE champion. But yeah, like, man, right away, man. I'm doing like main event stuff, so I
yeah,
got to learn from the best of the best. I like Michael Hayes and Triple H and Vince McMahon and Arn Anderson, all the guys that were, aged in these matches and like these stories. And it was really, really just awesome spot to be in. I'm very blessed to this day to ever get that was the AJ Styles, Moxley or Ambrose and I's storyline. There was the best thing I've ever done in wrestling, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to top that. That was pretty damn good.
awesome, man.
What was the reaction like backstage? Obviously, you've come into this big spot. You kind of like when Daniel Bryan originally got over. That's not the direction that the WWE wanted to go with the whole yes movement, and and it's people like Bailey, especially over here in the UK. She was really over. But you got really pushed by the fans, and obviously that got noticed backstage. But what was the reaction amongst the other wrestlers? Because, like you just said at the start of the show, you're not built for this. You're not meant to be in the main event, but you really were in one of the most thrilling storylines at the time. Everyone just wanted to see what the next James Ellsworth story was. But what was the reaction like backstage? Was there certain wrestlers that thought, hang on a minute, I should be in this spot, or I want to be main eventing SmackDown, and I want to be on pay-per-views? What was the reaction like to you from your peers, kind of thing?
Mostly positive, like especially from the talent that had been in wrestling a long time, had went through the independents like I did. But I mean, and I always was up to this day. I wish I would have went through the Performance Center and NXT, because if you do, WWE has time and money invested in you, so you're built to succeed there. They want you to succeed. Me, Vince McMahon just saw something in me and started using me. That's how I happened. And so there was those who didn't really have the wrestling experience that like I had, or other guys there had through the independents and all that, didn't get it at first. And I won't mention any names, but by the time my run was over there, I was pretty close to those people. At first, I could feel the cold shoulder but once they got to know me and all, like, and I kind of explained, like, hey man, I've been wrestling a long time. Up to that point, it was 14 years, and I really, like, uh, who's to say if I deserve this or not? I don't know, but hey, it's not like I've been sitting around and they just grabbed me. Like, I've been really working hard on the independence. But man, mostly everyone was cool. It's just like any other job, man. Like, there's people that you're going to get along with, people you might not talk to, people that you don't necessarily care for. It's just like anything else.
Was it the same reaction from your people that you work with on the independents, where they just super proud? They're like, oh my God, he's main eventing SmackDown now.
Well, I mean, from your friends, yes. The ones that you're
Yeah.
close to, super happy for you. I mean, like, I really hate the word jealousy, because I of the belief no one should be jealous of anyone, because at the end of the day, we're all going to take a finish 100 years or less. Like, what I mean? So
very true.
you got 100 or less years on this earth, and you really should just enjoy it. No one's getting past that 100 years. Maybe a small few live to 105, 100, but like, we're all going to eventually not be here, and you should just enjoy your time here and not think about what others are doing. You should, take care of you and have fun and what you're doing, no matter what it is. But yeah, like people in the indies that, oh man, maybe they thought they should have been in that spot or whatever. Like, it is what it is, man. I'm mostly positive energy. Like if I feel negative energy, I kind of just get away from it. Like I try to, I got a wife, I got kids. I try to just live a positive lifestyle. So anything negative, even back then, like I just try to stay away from. So
great way to live.
James, I just wanted to ask you, really. I know the AJ style question, that was the obvious one, but I had to. I'm such an AJ fan. I had to, I'm so jealous of your experience, and I was kind of, as a fan, vicariously living through you. But I want to talk to you the time, really, that you became, rather than you were just in doing this storyline and not really knowing how long it was going to last and thinking it might just be this deal, suddenly you become a manager for Carmella. And you're a bona fide WWE superstar and personality. It's not just that one storyline anymore. How did you find that time as a manager? Obviously, as a big fan of wrestling yourself, and being a big fan of probably Memphis and NWA and managers such as your Heenans and people like that. How was that for you becoming a manager? Because in recent times, there hasn't been all that many. Paul Heyman, obviously one of the real top ones that people would say one of the best of all time. But I find it interesting for you as a role where you were a wrestler and then became a manager. So how did you find that? And what are your thoughts on your time as a manager for Carmella?
I absolutely loved it, man. I feel like it fit my character well. Yeah. Like, you go wrestling for WWE title and doing all this cool stuff. And then you're, to some people, oh man, now he's just a manager for Carmella. I didn't take it that way at all. No. I felt like it fit me really well. And when you are a manager or a heater, as we call it in the business, your job is to get the talent you're with over. It's not about you anymore. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a problem with managers today. There's the majority of them I see on television. The biggest problem they have, I feel like they're trying too hard to get themselves over. That's not your job. Your job is to get the talent you're with over. And if you don't do that, man, you're going to wind up not being anything either, because that's your job. Yeah. And when I went with Carmella, like she was new to the main roster, like in NXT, she was with Enzo and Kaz. On the main roster, she was never with Enzo and Kaz. So she came in, she was feuding with Nikki Bella. That was over with. She didn't have much to do. She wasn't in the title picture. She didn't have a storyline after Nikki Bella. They had a little feud, there for a few weeks that culminated in a pay-per-view, and Carmella lost. And so I remember when she pitched the idea to me about her and I being together, I was like, well, if Vince accepts that, I was like, I'm going to help this girl as much as I possibly can, because I want to prove to myself that I can do this. And I feel like I'll be 39 this year. Heck, in 10 years, I'll only be 49. I can come back and be a manager for somebody. And I'm already proven that I can help somebody, get where they need to get. Like, obviously, she got to the Money in the Bank, and then she became the women's champion. Like, I helped her along the way achieve those things. Very, very proud of that, man, because, it was either sink or swim with her and I. And we swam, man. Like, if she got there, she got all the way to the women's title.
Was Carmella somebody that you developed a friendship with backstage, and then, as you say, she pitched this idea to you?
So, not at first, man, I was very, nervous around most people. I had people that I knew from the indies that was working there. I would talk to. When she came up to me, I would shake everybody's hand. So I would shake her hand every day. Never had a real conversation with her. Yeah. She came up to me, James, do you know what they're doing with you after this AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose storyline? I said, I'm not sure. She goes, well, the girls and I are talking, and we were like, what if they put you with one of us? And she's like, I'm going to jump on that, because I want the one of us to be me, because I think, it'd be great. Maybe I use you to try to get to the women's title is the story, and wherever it goes, it goes. I'm like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I remember telling her, I said, look, if they say yes to that idea, I said, I'm going to make sure you get to the women's title. I told her right then and right there. Yeah. She's like, oh, okay. And then after that, when we were working together. We were very friendly with each other, enjoyed each other's company. I mean, worked together every day, like all the house shows, TVs, pay-per-views. Obviously she's expecting now. So when I found that out, I texted her right away. Congratulations. And also Graves. Graves is somebody I knew before WWE when he was on the Indies. He was Sterling James Keenan.
Yeah.
He lived in Pittsburgh and I live in Baltimore. It's only about 4 hours apart. So we would see each other, at a lot of the Indies around the area. He's a great guy too. I'm glad they found each other. I think that's a good pairing for a real life couple. I'm very happy for them both. But yeah, man, like to answer your question, like, yeah, once we started working together, we did develop a little bit of a friendship for sure.
Mm.
Cool.
Did it prove how much WWE was starting to trust you, James, as well? Because they're putting you in some really good storylines. I mean, you had some great segments. I think I remember seeing you dressed as Elvis when you were on doing a shopping spree. But you also got challenged to a match by John Cena and Nikki at the time. Could you see as time went on that WWE, you're thinking the cogs are starting to turn with you, thinking, hang on a minute, they're really starting to trust me here? Because, sometimes WWE, they push people and then like 2 months later, you'll see them, it's pulled back a little bit, like the rug's pulled from under them. With you, it just seemed to progress. The ball was rolling. You were getting more and more over with the crowd. You were getting involved in segments with John Cena, all these quote unquote huge stars backstage. Did the cogs then start to turn in your head thinking, hey, I've earned my spot here now. They're really starting to trust me.
I felt like, man, I'm not doing bad for a guy that they had no plans for.
Mm.
I mean, like, this wasn't a plan. This was just like they were, making this up every week because I wasn't in their plans. Again, I had to go through the Performance Center in NXT, and I wish I would have because I would have loved to learn all the stuff that you learn there. Plus, I would have loved to have been there for 10 years because they have time and money invested in you. But like, man, when they would hand me that microphone every week and say, go out there and tell this story, I'm like, they're handing me a microphone every week. They don't do that for everybody. They don't. Yeah. And they were doing it with me like every week. So I started clicking in my head, like you're saying, like, wow, they really trust me. They really trust me to get this story across because they're handing me this microphone every week. And that TV time is very valuable. And I was getting it every week. Like the whole time I was there, there wasn't a lot of time I wasn't on TV. I was on TV pretty much every week and without a plan. Again, like this, they were just making it up as they went with me personally because I wasn't a part of their system, So, yeah, man, it did. Like to answer your question, it did start clicking to be like, wow, they really, really, trust me to go out there and get the story over that I need to get over.
Yeah, definitely.
Were there any, obviously, when you're put into that role, James, and you're getting that heat, are there any people that you're drawing from for inspiration or managers that you've watched in the past? Obviously, you were very experienced on the indies and you'd done a lot, seen a lot in wrestling. Or were you kind of just trying things as you go and finding what worked and what didn't work so well?
Yeah, like, so growing up, man, loved Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
Loved Bobby the Brain Heenan, like all the classics, right? Like, yeah, but like Harvey Whiffleman with Bertha Faye.
Oh, man.
When I was with Ella, I went back and watched, Downtown Bruno, but when he was with WWF, it was Harvey Whiffleman when he was managing Bertha Faye. I went back and watched that while I was with Carmella, and like just it's a lot of it's facial expressions and getting the story over using facial expressions and talking, and but like my all-time favorite is Bobby Heenan, and then like I think Bobby Heenan would be 1A, and then Jim Cornette would be 1B. These guys, and I do as well, look like guys that you want to punch in the face. Like this guy's out here running his mouth.
People say that about me all the time, James.
Yeah, but and like I don't feel like I'm done with that part of my career because I feel like I still have a future being a manager, being a heater, and like I look forward to the day where for some reason the WWE creative team sitting around going, we need a manager for this person, we need a heater. Man, remember Ellsworth? Like, yeah, I wonder what he's doing. Let's, I'm hoping and praying someday because I feel like I have a lot left to give in that role, and it made me so happy, man, to help Carmella, achieve what she achieved. Now, I'm not saying it was all me. Like, I know I helped. I mean, she's very talented. She has a great look, obviously. Her character is good. She can talk as well. I think she's very underrated overall.
Agreed.
And I like doing that, man. I really, really got, a high out of helping somebody get to that certain level. And I would love to do that again for someone else in the future, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Obviously, Carmella, as you say, having a family, starting a family with Corey. She'll be back at some point, and that may be an opportunity for you. But if that isn't, what other superstar on the WWE roster would you love to manage? And what can you be doing in the meantime while you're waiting that for call from WWE? Are you still on the Indies? Are you performing as a wrestler, or are you looking at management on the Indies as well?
So, everybody, well, I do Indies almost every weekend. I'm going to Texas this weekend to wrestle. I run my own shows, adrenalinewrestling.com. Anybody want to check that out? And I stay very busy, but it's mostly wrestling. Because on the Indies, like people, like independent wrestling fans, they want to see the James Ellsworth character wrestle. That's what they want. So I do a lot of that still. As far as who would I like to manage WWE right now? Do you remember when I have ideas always hit your head if you're a talent, right? Remember when Shannon Moore was Matt Hardy's little MF or whatever.
Yeah.
And I look at it, I'm like, who's somebody that really could use me to help them do a little bit more or get that? Who I love and I think is fantastic, and I think could use a little something for whatever reason. I mean, I think the world of this person because I think he is the blueprint of what a WWE superstar should look like. And he's very talented in the ring. Is Austin Theory.
Yeah.
Like if I was to try to hang out with Austin Theory, right? Austin Theory would never hang out with me. Is how it would look green. But if if I wanted to try to be his buddy or something, like, hey man, I want to look cool like you. I want to get the girl. Like, I think that'd be nice. I mean, obviously, like I'd love to fight with Dominic over Rhea Ripley. Like that'd be a cool little thing to do. I think way, man.
James, I don't know if you're a big WCW fan, but I remember an angle with Scott Hall and Disco Inferno that was a similar type of thing. The Disco was the heater, if you like.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. I
remember that. I remember Scott Hall beat the snot out of him in one of those matches. I think Disco chopped him, and Scott Hall just reversed him and lit him up. I was like, ooh.
If you look at people like Spike Dudley, he got so over by basically getting beaten the living shit out of each and every week. He was getting power bombed left, right, and center. But everyone wanted to see Spike Dudley every single week. So there is little bit niches in the market for people like yourself and everything. You know what I mean? I think it's incredible. But James, if you could go back and give younger James Ellsworth one piece of advice about the wrestling business, what would it be?
Man, that's a really good question. I would tell him just look, man, don't take people too seriously, ignore ignorance, and just do your thing, man. Like have fun with this, love it just like you love it right now. I've never stopped loving wrestling. I still love it as much, as you go through things sometimes or, this or that and the other, all the ups and downs. Like I've loved it as much as I did when I was 5 years old. I loved it. I love it as much as I did when I started when I was 17. And, but yeah, I like the saying, it's one of my sayings, ignore ignorance. Just don't worry about all the negativity. You look at this as something that you love to do and, you continue to do it, no matter what.
Yeah, definitely. Just finishing up, James. Obviously, we've just had Money in the Bank over here in the UK. WWE is getting more and more global now. You've got Saudi Arabia. What do you make of these international shows now getting bigger and bigger? I mean, we were so fortunate. I attended Money in the Bank at the O2. We've got AEW coming over to Wembley Stadium at the end of August. What do you make of these big companies like AEW and WWE now branching out like Wembley Stadium? AEW have pretty much sold out Wembley without advertising one match yet.
Right. Well, I think because you guys over there in the UK love wrestling so much, like that was going to sell out no matter what. Because you guys are just you're awesome, man. Over there, were you at the SmackDown where I wrestled Becky Lynch at the O2?
Yep.
On SmackDown.
Yep.
See,
that was a great crowd. One
of my favorite matches. Yeah, like they were hell, man, and I loved it. Like it's the international thing's a good thing because it's world wrestling entertainment. So having more shows, more pay-per-views or whatever they call them, is the preview live events. Is that what they call them?
Yeah.
All over the world is a good thing. I feel like you're going to get a WrestleMania at Wembley Stadium for 2 nights, and they're going to sell it out 100,000 people a night. I feel like that's going to happen.
Oh wow!
John Cena did come out.
Yeah, if John Cena says it, then it's got to happen, right, James? You know what I mean? But James, just finishing up, my friend. What does the future hold for you? We've got obviously all your. We'd love to see you back in WWE, but like you say, there's so much now. You've got AEW, you've got Impact, you've got Ring of Honor. There's so much out there. What do you think the future holds for James Ellsworth?
I feel like, man, you haven't seen the last of me in WWE. I really feel in my heart that at some point, if it's a cameo appearance, or like I said, if it's to be a manager for somebody else, or
could see you in the Rumble. Could see you in the Rumble in January.
You were in the Rumble, weren't you, James?
Yeah, you were in the Rumble, weren't you? Didn't you come back in the Rumble?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Oh man, Royal Rumble's my favorite show.
Yeah.
My favorite show. So being a part of that in 2017 was cool until it was painful, but it was cool. It was in front of 54,000 people at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. But yeah, for the future, like we were talking about earlier, I feel like I got a lot of mileage left in me as a manager, and I hope it happens one day. If not, man, I had a hell of a run. Like look at Carlito, man. Apparently he's coming back. He's been gone 10. I've been gone 4.5 years at this point. So you just never know, man. You never know when your number gets called and it's your time to come back or whatever. I'm going to keep on plugging and keep it positive and, just doing what I'm doing, and hopefully something will work out again.
Yeah, and keep in touch with Carmella as well in case she's after a manager when she's back.
You might need a manager when she comes back, man. But James, thank you so much for jumping on our show, man. We really appreciate it. We love doing these interviews on a Wednesday. We call them Interview Wednesday. We definitely hope to see you back in the WWE, AEW. We'd love to see you back involved in professional wrestling, my friend. But thank you so much for your time, man. It really truly does mean a lot to us.
Thank you, guys. Take care. God bless. Stay safe. Remember, any man with 2 hands has a fighting chance, as they say, right?
Most definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I've been your host, Andy Burrows, with the amazing Dave Robinson and the even amazing, is that a word? I think I just invented the word. It is now. I've just invented the word. Mr. James Ellsworth. Till next time, everybody, buckle down and stay safe.